Christy just did a talk at the summit, the Entree Leadership Summit in Dallas that we had a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of the most highly rated talks among all the speakers that spoke that week, and there were world-renowned communicators on that stage. She was up against some tough competition to get one of the top ratings for sure.
Earn my spot there.
For sure. But the reason for the ratings was not only the great delivery and your speaking style and ability, but the content. She was talking about balance, and I get the call life balance. Matter of fact, I spoke to a company yesterday, local company, just a friend of mine. I ran by there and just did one of their talks for them.
Yep.
And I did a little bit of Q&A after, and one of the young guys was saying, "Hey, I got babies, and I little babies, and I just started a business. How do I balance?" I mean, it's a question you and I have gotten for a couple of decades.
Yes.
Now. How do you balance? How do you balance? People call in here going, "Okay, I want to get out of debt, and I know gazelle intensity means work like no one else. I mean, I know there's a great place to go when you're broke to work.
Yep.
I know all of that, but I've got kids, and I'd like for them to actually know that they have a father or a mother. And how do I balance? How do I balance? How do I balance? How do I balance?" And we teach people to be intentional with their money. And the essence of what you told this group of leaders that was so popular was to be intentional with your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's such a direct correlation between time and money. And it's not just the obvious of you work and you make money, but I think when you start to realize that time is one of our finite resources, our most finite resource, even more finite than money. You can go get more money. You can't get more time. Then it gives you a little bit of a fire under you to want to steward it well, be intentional with it. And to your point, Dave, when we get asked this question, we're always asked in the same way. Balance is always used as a verb. How do I balance it all? How do I balance everything? Like we've got juggling balls, spinning plates, walking a tightrope. It's always these analogies that feel very stressful and full of anxiety. And so as I dug into researching this more and more over the past, 6 to 10 years, I started asking a different question. What if balance is not so much something you do as it is something you create in your life, a sense of peace and confidence in the way that you spend your time? And it leads you to a different answer when you think about balance as something you feel and create than just something you do. It gives you permission to be gazelle intense when you're paying off your debt because that's the right thing at that time, and to put your phone away when you're on vacation and focus on your kids because that's the right thing at the right time. And so it's amazing how it really did hit a nerve. And I think it's because our world is crazy busy and we've got, a phone in our pocket screaming our name 24/7. So we've got to have some strategies to create a sense of balance even when we live in a world that's very out of balance.
If you don't take a step back and take a big gulp of air, there is never enough money and there's never enough time.
That's right.
And the only way that there's a sense of contentment with either one of those subjects, and they're interrelated that way because Jesus said your treasure's where your heart is. So how you spend your time, how you spend your money, it says what's important to you.
Yeah. And you always say that. I can tell by looking at your bank account and your calendar what you care about because that's where you spend your time and that's where you spend your money. And I would say a lot of people experience tension and stress and frustration because they don't. Because they spend their time and money on things that are not important to them and they feel this frustration. And so I love to help people bridge that gap to where they're spending their time on what matters.
In a sense, what you've been saying with balance is what we've been saying with budget. And it's like when you tell your money what to do, you'll on paper, on purpose before the month begins, you'll do a budget. And you're making the money go where you want it to go, you feel like you got a raise.
Yes.
When you tell your time what to do, you're going to find margin.
Yes. And you're going to feel more.
Because you're going to say, I'm not doing that.
Right. And you're going to feel more in control because guess what? You are. You are in control of your time and your schedule and your calendar. You set it. Just like you set the budget, you get to make it look like what you want to. But a lot of people are passive and reactive, similar to their money. And so I love to help them like you help people with the budget. I love to help people take control of their time to actually spend their time on what matters most to them. And then what's really cool is you can still be crazy busy, but you feel that sense of balance because you're no longer trying to do everything. You're doing the right things. And that's where that feeling comes from.
Yeah. And you're present wherever you are. I mean, it's one of your principles is to be where you is.
Yeah. And we talk about social media and we talk about all the distractions, but what's interesting is I discovered a study, and these were by 2 Harvard psychologists, that cited that the more present you are, whether that's not looking at your phone or not even allowing your thoughts to wander to all the things you've got to do, when you can truly be where your feet are, research shows you are happier. overall, regardless of what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're doing something that's not as fun. When you're present in the moment, it leads to more happiness. And so I love to help people figure out what that looks like in their life and put in habits, because even if you create the most perfect schedule in the world, if you're not present for it, you miss it. So you have to figure out how to be present so you can actually experience your life.
Yeah, so the morning run, I did a 3-mile run this morning. It's a really good idea to just enjoy the run.
Yeah.
And not be thinking about the day and thinking about, which I did all morning while I was running. I did it exactly wrong. All I did was think about, I'm going to have to go in, I'm going to fix that today. And that right there, and that guy, I'm going to get, I'm going to, all through your brain.
You have your best ideas on a run, right?
Yeah, but they're you can't, and it was, it was a beautiful Tennessee morning.
Yeah.
And I look back in a sense, I'm chiding myself, but I think what we all do is by not being there, I missed it because I was already here.
We do that. We do that, Dave. This is a silly example, but last year when Matt and I went on vacation to Fort Lauderdale, we just had a little getaway for a weekend. The weather forecast was really bad. It was a bad forecast. It was going to rain and thunderstorm, and I'm just like obsessed about us having a good weekend. And we're driving down the main boulevard on the beach in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, you're a weather girl.
Not as bad as Rachel. Not near as bad as Rachel.
Nobody's as bad as Rachel.
No,
Rachel should have been a meteorologist.
I know, but I wanted beach days. I wanted good weather. We're driving down the street by the beach right there in Fort Lauderdale, and the top is down on the convertible. The weather is fine. I'm looking at the app on my phone, and I am just obsessively looking at the hourly and the daily forecast, and I felt God say, look up. Look at the weather right in front of you. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're obsessing about what's coming.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on right now. And I thought, gosh, don't we all do that?
I have to tell all 3 girls in our family pretty regularly that a 40% chance of rain means a 60% chance of sunshine. Right. Jeez, man, the glass is half full. Come on. Oh, yeah. Okay, so if you want to know more about this, Christy's got a tool to help you. Take the challenge to get 24 hours added to your week. We're going to show you how to do it. And it goes with the money piece. Text Time Finder to 33444. Text Time Finder to 33444, and we'll send you a free tool that Christy says is going to add 24 hours to your week. It's kind of like getting a raise when you do a budget. Same thing. When you start doing stuff on purpose, you immediately carve out the superfluous garbage out of your life.